Good morning.
What's going on?
All right, we live, Helen.
That's Swindle.
Okay, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
Come on. I'd like to call to order the Jefferson County Committee meetings at 9:02 this morning. I'd like to begin our meeting as we do all with a word of prayer. Would everyone please bow your heads? Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank these that are assembled here in person today to do the business of Jefferson County. Dear Lord, please be with those that were unable to be here in person. Please be with those who are sick with the COVID virus or may have other afflictions. Dear Lord, there are many in this community. Please be with our health officers and our health officials as they administer the vaccine to those in need. Dear Lord, as always, we ask you to keep us, guide us, and protect us. Draw us closer to Thee. All the work we do is in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Commissioner Ammons has asked to go first, and there's a presentation I know that he wants to include. So, Commissioner Ammons.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to introduce the gentleman from the Birmingham Jefferson County Port Authority, Mike Swinson, who is also with Spire, serves as the chair of that board, and then David Russell, who serves as their executive director. They'd like to make a presentation to kind of give an update on where the Port Authority is. So, gentlemen, and I guess, Helen, do they need to go to this mic down here?
Yes.
And I think they already passed out packets.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure being here today on such a beautiful day. My name is Mike Swinson. I work for Spire in our Economic Development Group, and as Mr. Hammonds pointed out, I'm chair of the Birmingham Jefferson County Port Authority. I want to give you a brief update today on where we stand. And,
Hey, Mike, why don't you go ahead and take it off?
Yeah. Good. Thank you. I was starting to get the lip sweat going. So we have a great board. Four new people are on it. Jonathan Porter with Alabama Power, you know him. Sharon Ward, Hari McTeer is in the financial business, and myself, and Chad Pilcher, a local attorney. So our effort is to try to do things at the port that benefit the citizens of the city and the county, and in essence create jobs. We've had an opportunity in the last few months to secure a grant from ADECA that will allow us to build a warehouse to store inbound and outbound goods. We're in a partnership with Watco on their property to do that, and we hope to have that completed by the by March of 2022. David Russell is our executive director with Synergy Consulting. He does a great job, and I'll let David fill in anything else and answer any questions we may have. Thank you.
Thank you all. Yes, as Director Swinson was saying, the Port Authority has an enormous amount of opportunity right now. We're really approaching our first milestone deal with a partnership with Watco. And building this 20,000 square foot warehouse is going to be huge because there's a lot of opportunity at the port. So 5 terminals is probably owned, and this model can be one model we can use to show the other terminals how we can help them and support them, provide economic development between public-private partnership. The ADECA grant was a major asset to us, but this is a one-time grant. So hopefully we want to make sure that we get this grant and show you all we're good stewards of public funds and how the Port Authority can really impact the tonnage on the waterway, kind of remove trucks and make sure we are loading barges and pulling those to the max and make sure we're doing economic development for the city and the county of Jefferson County.
Do you guys have any questions for them?
Yeah, I do.
What was your grant?
I was about to ask the same thing.
$1 million and 97.
So you said 1 million what?
$1,970,000.
Okay. So let me ask this: have you all applied for any other federal grants or any other grant opportunities that could be able to help?
Not at the moment. We're currently looking for some more projects to work.
Which I applaud you for what you already have.
Yes.
Anyway.
We really want to make sure that this project is the first milestone project. It goes through smoothly. We are on track. to have this warehouse up and receiving new freight by March of 2022. We're on schedule for that. We just received the master lease and the P3 agreement back Sunday. We're still in negotiations about the rates and the terms, but we should be finalizing that within the next month and a half.
So question, being that you all have at least the state that is supporting in the form of a grant, what is it that Ammons that you perceive that we need to do from the county perspective in order to be able to aid them in what they're trying to do?
Well, as we've discussed, and over a period of time, the port has had its ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly downs.
Ups and downs?
Mostly downs.
Mostly downs. And really needed to show, and understanding the history, need to show that there's competency and capacity here. I think this is a great step forward, showing that the board is taking positive steps forward. If we can get this project done, we're going to look at how we can expand and help them expand the port. Initially, coming down, there will be an ask, but it will be supportive of getting this current project done. And so there's still more conversation to be had, and we still need to see that there's going to be some positive steps forward. And I think they've done that. I think that's been a good part of how they've kind of restructured with Daryl Perkins kind of served as that interim and that stopgap, and then David came on, and Mike and some of the other board members. I think they've done a really good job of pulling everything together in a strategic plan to move forward.
So the reason why I'm asking is because I know that when those of us who are new got here, originally they were in the budget. And if my memory serves me correctly, I think it was about $350,000, especially being that I have some background information. If that's incorrect, I mean, Joe, correct?
I think Birmingham.
That was Birmingham.
Put in three.
Okay,
We put in some initially.
Okay, I was about to say there was some
Years
kind of
ago.
financial support from the
Right.
county.
Yeah.
So I don't want to misquote anything, but my point is that you're absolutely right how they've been able to turn what I think was a negative into a positive, because being that I came from the city, I realized that the Port Authority had some things that needed to be resolved and dissolved. And so I was pleasantly surprised when I was approached about a year or so ago about them restarting it, because I think it's a great opportunity if the county seizes it. It's just a matter of, like you said, they're going through, I think at one time there may have been an issue with WACO. And then I think, based on what I'm hearing this morning, it seems as though they're on board the way they need to be, not the way it was. That's the kind of positive movement because, due to the pandemic, I think we're going to have to look at other ways of being able to transport goods and services anyway. And how beneficial would that be if the county had an inlet, for lack of better words, that we could be able to utilize to even generate additional revenue for us. So, I can't wait to hear how the outcome will be.
You're exactly right, Commissioner, and our mantra has been, we got to get first downs before we earn a right to get a touchdown, and that's where we are today. We've got all the administrative protocol in place in terms of accounting, audits, financial plans, budgets, strategic plans. I like where we are, but again, first downs before touchdowns.
And the purpose of them coming and giving a presentation is just so you can hear directly from them on where they are in their progress and where their near-term goals are. And if there are any questions or you need to hear from them, feel free to contact them if there are questions, and then we'll talk about how we might be able to support them over the next couple months.
I haven't seen this handout till now. Have we bought that piece of land, or is it something that we're...
It's in progress. We're working out the arrangements right now that Mr. Russell referred to.
That's where the spec warehouse...
That's correct, on Watco's property.
Okay.
And that's what the grant money was specifically gotten for.
Okay.
That's what I was alluding to, Joe. That there were some issues with Waco. I just didn't want to state it publicly, but that's what they had to overcome. And seemingly they're moving in the right direction
Well,
now that they've overcome that little issue.
all right. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the update.
Thank you.
All right. And I have 3 other items.
Move.
Thank
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right.
That was Joe, too. All right. That is the end of my report.
Okay. Commissioner Tyson, are you on?
Good morning.
You had asked to be next.
Yes, I didn't hear roll being called. Have you been called?
We did. You're here.
Okay, good morning, Commissioner. Department of Community Services and Workforce Development. Is Dr. Hamilton?
He's on Zoom. He's on via Zoom.
Okay, Dr. Hamilton.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been first and second, it's a full satisfying the mortgage that from the law for community development. It's been first and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Did everyone say something?
Aye.
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 It's item passed. Item passed. We have, family court. Do we have anyone from family court on the line? Okay, I'll go over, the one from family court.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here. Vanessa Jones.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, we have the Children's Policy Cooperative of Jefferson County, which is in conjunction of our Children's Policy Council, and we're just asking for, the contract amount is at $75,000. This is the end of the 3-year contract, and we're just putting that in this time. The actual amount that we have already is $351,000, which will leave us with $275,000. But that $75,000 goes to the Children's Policy Council and all of the good work they've been doing out here with the children.
I'll move the item.
Any questions?
Second.
Can I get a first and a second on this item?
Got a first and second.
Already did.
You got a first and second?
I guess there's
All
a
in
delay.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it passed, and that's the end of my committee report.
Second.
She's done. She's done.
You finished?
No, I'm not done, Jimmy.
Yes, ma'am.
President, I wanted to, do I need to go with this now, the transportation piece, for the COVID, vaccination?
That's entirely up to you, Commissioner. We have them before us if you would like for us to go over it.
Briefly, I'm not coming asking the, commission, for, any funding, but this is a plan that was presented, the UAB and several of the other agencies that participating in the vaccine distribution throughout Jefferson County. And we also have, we've heard from a lot of citizens with the complaints of not being able to get on the line to make a reservation, also not being vaccinated in, areas of trouble. So this is a breakdown of the statistics from the last census, and that was 2010 for Jefferson County with people of color. If you look at the first paragraph, it's just stating of how the population in Jefferson County being 659,000 in 2010 census, and the margin being broke down of African Americans is 42.5% in the county. And if you go down to the second paragraph, and if you look at the graphic where they are actually giving out the vaccine by age, if you look down and you will see even up as far as the age of 85 and above, the percentile of African American, Hispanic, mixed population, Asian, and white population. That's how the vaccination should be broke down from this chart. If you look at the third paragraph, it gives by the age bracket, the way the vaccine should be broke down, where it will get into the neighborhoods where it is needed. If you turn on the next page, the barriers that in our community where we won't have access, and we're not having access to the vaccine, and it's access to internet. If you go through the neighborhoods, you already know, especially President in your area and Jimmy area, in the rural areas, a lot of areas do not have access to internet, not computers, not smartphones. And if you break down the age bracket, you will see from age 85, I said 65 and above, they are really not technical savvy to where they can. Then when they have tried to make phone calls to make a reservation, phone lines have been tied up, and they have not been able to get in to actually make the appointment. So President, he's aware, and Tony Patel and Walter Jackson are aware that not all of this has actually been helping them set up their appointment through EMA. And transportation is a big problem. If you're not going to put the vaccine within the community, how will they get to the vaccine to actually get their doctor? And you know the barrier of lack of insurance and the lack of advertisement letting people know that the vaccines are out and you can make a reserve a spot in order to get your vaccine. How many people actually know that? And also lack of education. Are we being informed correctly about the vaccine? No, we're not, because I've heard so many horror stories of the vaccine. That's why a lot of people want to know, because they want to take this vaccine. Then give them a fair choice of whether they want to take the vaccine. A way to increase Black participation and brown participation. This is just streamlining the process of the registration process. It needs to be streamlined, because it was actually hard for me to register people till I got the hang of it. I had to do it a couple of times in order for me to actually help them register their self. And then senior citizens with cell phones, a lot of them don't have the iPhone. Because you got to go into 3 different tables in order to register and to get on the list in order to take the vaccine. And they need to be mailed appointment cards to remind them about their appointments. And also, we need to create a task force to empower the community to assist citizens with the registration process, because we don't have any way of assisting people to register. We can use by organizing the churches. I gave the health department almost over 2,500 churches that's willing to participate, also using their church vans and using their churches for vaccine sites. They are truly willing to do that. We also have nonprofits that's willing to assist us. At the Black Nurses Association, we have a Black Pharmacist group and several other organizations that's willing to come out and help. In the last mile is actually delivering the vaccine, making sure the communities of color and the low-income communities have access to the vaccine. If possible, we need to make sure we have transportation. The problem is transportation. You can't expect for an 85-year-old to walk to the vaccine. Nor can mass transit or any other transportation. At that age, a lot of people are healthy and able to get around. I know a 55-year-old that's actually jogging, but then I know a whole lot of them that's not able to get around. So we talk to mass transit about providing transportation through the paratransit buses. We got the amount that they were charged. We got church vans. We worked in negotiated prices with using their van drivers, and also with sanitizing the van after each use and for gas. And then we have partnered with several groups that have Lyft and Uber cards. They have given out over, Uber has given out over $10 million worth of Uber free ride cards, which we do have access in the county to this program. And Lyft have given out over 60 million free and reduced ride cards for citizens that cannot get to their vaccination site. So we have partnered with the National Urban League, which Birmingham Urban League have access to the Lyft cards. We have the National Action Network. They have access, and they are willing to give it to us. Alabama Coalition on Black People Participation is willing to also give it to us. And United Way, there's just a few names of the people who are willing to partner with us. And the most vulnerable people in the county that need to have access to these vaccine appointments by engaging class training. Class training, that's what they do. They actually transport seniors. Why not utilize them? We have a great relationship with them. We also have contracts. Why not DJ, CTA, compare transit with mass transit? We already have a relationship with them, so it's nothing that we got to turn around and try to negotiate with our lack of transportation. If you go to the next page, the yellow page is talking about the fare of these trips, access to these round trip transportation sites. One-way trip is $2. One-way trip cash fare is $2. Paratransit is $20. That's a 10 ride. We can go on down to the access to pass for $25. Personal attention. We can actually give them personal attention where they can be able to get on the bus and get on. And also they can have a way to where they can pull up and just get the vaccination without getting out the car if we participate with this program, and also providing with ID routes and getting them to their vaccination site. If you look at the last sheet, by including the churches and the church bands and buses, this is just a strategy for serve a lifeline to the community. But they will need funding opportunities in order to sanitize the buses, in order to get gas, because a lot of agencies and churches on their last days now because of the pandemic. And if you go down to the chart, the graph is actually broken down by cities. These are all of the cities that's in Jefferson County. We have went through all of them. We have found vaccination spots in all of them in case of an emergency, and we really need to get this done. We do have access to in all of these areas. So, like I said, I'm not asking for money. I was just giving you this breakdown of this chart and transportation piece that's being used in West Virginia, and it's being used in Louisiana, Georgia, Washington, D.C., Florida, and Mississippi. Thank y'all for listening to me.
Have you discussed this with EMA and health department officials?
Yes, I have given it all to them, and they like the piece, and they will be meeting with me today.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Scales.
Thank you, Mr. President. So for our Public Works, Community Services, and Intergovernmental Relations Committee, we do have three environmental items. Don't know if I saw David Dennard outside. You going to do it?
Yeah, David's here. If we can do the first two, then I'll get him for 3.
All right, very good. So the first two, Cal is going to do, and the third, David Dennard will do. The first is Trend Tay 2019 AMPO 4. This is a project that will eliminate sanitary sewer overflows And then we got Neil Schaefer, and that contract provides for engineering, design, and construction management services. And then David Dinner will discuss Hilltop Recycling Landfill.
I move 1 and 2.
Second.
Okay, items 1 and 2 have been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, number 3, David Dinner.
Yeah, so as you know, we received the application back in October, went to the public awareness meeting, the public hearing, and so the commission has to either approve or disapprove the application. There's a pretty extensive document attached in the backup for you to review, but there's a couple of primary points I'll bring up. Number one is whether it's consistent with the solid waste management plan. We didn't really identify a need for.
David, would you either take your mask off or get over here by this thing with others? I know that they're trying to hear you on
both,
line
yeah, both.
too.
Okay, sure. So, like I said, the consistency with the plan, with the solid waste management plan, we didn't really identify a need for an additional C&D landfill in the county. This one's actually about less than 2 miles from our C&D landfill at Mount Olive, and there are 6 other active C&D landfills that we identified in the county. The applicant does intend to run a recycling facility, and that is one of the potential considerations in the solid waste management plan. However, as we understand, he currently does, he runs the recycling business but takes the waste to the Mount Olive C&D landfill. So having a on-site C&D landfill is not necessarily one that would preclude him doing recycling. The other is the impact to public health and safety. We had some concerns about traffic on that road. Old Mount Olive Road is pretty curvy, and where the entrance is, there's curves on both sides. We had asked for a traffic study, or whether he intended to do a traffic study. They do not, so we don't have any other information to be able to address whether, it addresses those public safety concerns. And that was something that the residents said as well. There were, at the public hearing, there were a lot of people in the comments we got that were concerned about changes in property values. We haven't really been able to identify a significant economic impact. It's, like I said, for a private business, so there's few jobs that would be associated with it, not really any sort of wider economic impact. Again, like I said, a lot of people express concern about property values, and the responses are pretty overwhelmingly against the landfill. So,
Do we have any questions at this time? If we don't, I do have a question. This is for our county attorney. So when we're talking about the consideration of the application, is that kind of like the project that was on Highway 79, where we are either just we're voting on the item as in procedural purposes only? Because I clearly saw what we're considering as the application and didn't know if that was the same or not.
So procedurally, it has to be voted on
Right.
by the commission.
Right.
I think under these circumstances, you get to evaluate it similar to what you do with zoning stuff.
Okay.
So you do get to take those things into consideration, but it has to move to the agenda for you to make a decision.
Right. And so are we just approving the application, or are we doing it a little bit more in depth than what was happening on 79?
At this point, it's a little bit more in depth. You've had your public hearing, but the requirement is it has to go to the agenda for a vote. And so these things that were brought into public hearing are to be considered.
Okay. So let me ask this question. Are we going to have, David, or Mr. Dennard, a public meeting as a result, as it relates to this particular item? Is the applicant and those that are in that community, are they coming before us, or are we just only going by the meeting that they've already had?
That's what your public hearing, that's what that was addressed at the public hearing.
right, we met and I will say there is a really specific law to the landfill part of this in particular that was passed a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And ADM is required to have host government approval before they can process that application. So we're being the host government, has to either approve or disapprove. If not, ADM, there's some other considerations about circuit court and everything else, but the commission, a little bit different than the other, is the commission actually has the sort of under that law to either approve or disapprove the application. It's not a sort of recommendation or anything else. ADM has to have that.
Yeah, it's somewhere in between zoning and probably what is even more to is the requirement for liquor licenses. That although the state does all of the background stuff and that kind of stuff, they're responsible for public hearing, but it's required that the governing body give that approval. So that's.
Theo, I think the commissioner was actually asking, would there be an opportunity for a public hearing or for the applicant to speak tomorrow? And the answer is no.
He already did.
I'll move the item for
What if it
to
doesn't
be
get to
voted
the
on.
agenda?
Be very specific.
No, I mean, all you gotta do is move the item to the agenda. All right, so do we have any other questions or comments at this time? If we don't, then I understand that there's a motion on the floor to move the item to the agenda for further consideration. Got a second?
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. District 1, report of the business. There's a reappointment of Charles Harris to the Jefferson County Housing Authority. This is a reappointment. Any questions?
Move.
All right, the item has been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
That completes my report for District 1. Thank you.
And he is the resident board member. He's at Spring Garden. Well, I understand he's a very good board member.
Okay.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you for your research. You're so kind.
We have administrative and infrastructure committee. Our roads and transportation has 6 items.
Move items 1 through 6.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for those 6 items. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
County attorney has, thank you. County attorney has the minutes and he has one new item of new business. I'm going to hold those to the end.
Yeah.
And we can do those all at one time. County attorney minutes from the meeting of January the 21st. County manager has an item. Do I have a motion for the approval of the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
A motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Sheriff has no items submitted. The county manager, UAB, continuation of the COVID testing program. It's my understanding that the money that was allocated to the UAB for their testing was not fully expended by December the 31st. And this is money that they had set aside, that we had set aside for that, and this is the continuation of that program.
Yes, that's an extension of time.
Okay, I have a motion, I have an affirmation from the
Mr. President.
CFO, and do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay,
I did
and now
have
a question.
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
So is there any particular, especially being that we've had a rise in COVID numbers in Jefferson County, as to why they had not expended the funds? I mean, obviously, we want to make sure that we make it available because we still have a really large problem. We have a big problem with COVID. So any particular reason that they gave as to why those funds had not been expended already?
We didn't get an explanation. We just want to make sure that the funds continue to be available for use.
I think they were spending it as fast as they could on the testing sites and moving them around. And I think this is what was just kind of not spent before December 30th, is the way I understand it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the money was still there available, so they want to continue the testing, and this just allows them to do that.
Let me also ask this question too. So it was discussed earlier about, vaccination and so forth. So are these funds just limited, county attorney, to testing only, or can this also be used for vaccination purposes as well? Do you know?
It can.
Given it is
It can. This is Commissioner Tyson. Can I say something?
Wait a minute. Hold on, Mr. President. Hold on, Mr. President. If you can bear with me, Commissioner Tyson, what I was trying to do was just to get a legal clarification. I would definitely want to hear what you have to say. but I was asking for legal clarification with regards to the money that had not been spent, if it could also be used for vaccination purposes. Can you help me out?
So generally speaking, CARES Act funds are able to be used to fight the governmental response to COVID-19 pandemic. So any of those specific kinds of things would still be vetted the same as any other propositions, but absolutely that would be a governmental response to COVID-19.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner Tyson. You can go ahead with what you were saying.
Yes, and I'm almost sure it can be used, but that also shows you the lack of communication in the community with the vaccine, because people, we have overrated exposure. We think that's going to get in every household and notify everyone, but it's an educational piece that needs to be put out in the community, along with good advertising to where people will know that the vaccines are available, along with the testing. The testing was not as high as we wanted it to be because of the notification to the citizens where the vaccine has in the community, and the communication to community leaders in participation in the community. You know, if everyone's not adopting the community, everyone don't look at Facebook and social media, and how many people actually look at commercials? Most people change the channel when a commercial come on. So that's why a lot of that money is left off of the test. In majority of the testing areas that we were testing, the people in the community did not participate. And that's in writing, and that's a known fact. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, ma'am. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you very much. Next, we go to District 3 Other Business. These are community grants. One's to the Bessemer Airport Authority for a vehicle to be used as airport safety.
I move 1 through 7.
1 through 7. Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Commissioners, there are 2 items of new business to consider.
Hang on, you want to do me first?
Huh? These were just the 2 that came off of.
Okay.
Yeah, one of them is Theo.
Yeah.
And the other is the Camp Bessemer and Camp Ketona thing. I have 2 items to be consideration of new business, and Commissioner Knight you have 1 item?
Let me see how many I've got. You got, okay, go ahead with yours.
Okay, I'll just do mine, and you can do yours off the committee. I have 2 items of new business. One is a resolution from the county attorney to make a check payable to the Alabama Bar for an amount of $100. The other is a resolution that our roads and transportation to hire 12 laborers to take care of the litter pickup and storm debris.
I'll move for unanimous consideration for both items.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 I do have a question, Mr. President.
Okay.
This is, I'm for both items. I just wanted to know the funding source for the additional 12 positions. I know is for $218,000. Is that from general fund? Or has this already been appropriated some kind of way?
Well, I wanted to thank Angela for working with us. She was working late last night, but there are several options, and we just haven't had time to really nail it down. But I know we have some money coming back from ADM for the fire cleanup. We also potentially have some money coming back from FEMA for the storm cleanup. And then Angela had probably a better idea.
Well, earlier last year, you all approved us to be able to use $1 million for catastrophic. Because of the CARES Act, we were not, having to use those funds, so those funds are also available to be repurposed.
So we have numerous funding sources at the discretion of the CFO.
And this is
Well, don't just put it all on her now.
Well, I mean,
You talking about at the discretion? No, I
She'll understand where it needs to come from. I guess.
well, no, don't just blame it on her. I mean, well, what I wanted to know, what I wanted to know was, anytime we have some kind of what I think is like an amendment, it's not a total budget amendment because you're not changing that. The bottom line, all you're doing is asking for those additional positions. And I just wanted to know, had it already been encumbered or whatever, just basically how do you pay for them? And I will tell you this, I think that's very forward thinking with whoever came up with this idea, whether it be the county manager's office, whoever that entails, because typically between March and April and somewhat in May, you have really bad weather. So to already try to look, because according to what this reads, it says that those positions would definitely have a focus on litter and debris cleanup. So, and it was weather related, am I correct?
Initially, they will be helping with the pickup with the debris, yes. But also it's winter, so it's now the time to get up the trash, because when the spring's gonna start growing, then you gotta cut, and then once you cut one piece of paper, it becomes 10. So we're gonna try to get them out.
Well, I'm gonna tell you why I thought this was good,
Yeah,
and I will say this, after touring the area of Fultondale, your district, Joe, and then Centerpoint, which we share, I'll be honest with you that area really is gonna have to it's a lot more damage than people recognize, and I'm hoping that things like this is what we're kind of putting ourselves in a position to address it sooner than later, so that people can have at least some sort of sense of normalcy, because that would be definitely applicable during these times. So I don't want to leave it up to the Madam CFO that just got in that position. But I do want us to be able to know exactly what the funding source or sources that we may look at to see how we pay for these positions.
In Commissioner
I have a
Tyson,
question, President, I have a question. Are those permanent positions?
they are not.
They're not.
No, it's
Yeah, temporary.
till the budget cycle. We may, till we get something worked out maybe in the long run, but this is for what, March through
September,
through this budget cycle. But we'll look at it in the long run to see what kind of crews we can put together in the long run. But also, we had the litter pickup crews out there, but COVID, we were using some of the people who were working off their sentence and stuff like that through the courts, but COVID took that away, so we don't have that out there, and so.
I have one question just to follow up on yours. You gave a couple different sources. When will we know which source you picked to choose from, and if it's the catastrophic fund and we get reimbursed from other areas, will that go to refill the catastrophic fund?
So we are actually working through our final stages of the audit, so it'll probably another couple of weeks before we do all transfers, so we'll bring all of that back to the commission for a vote.
On the transfer, or if it comes out of catastrophic?
All
That's already been approved, so I guess I'm more worried about where it comes out of, and if we do get the reimbursement, is it going back to refill the fund that it came from instead of just going back to the general fund?
I think we always, if we use those funds, I think we do try to replenish them
With the funds that come in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not what we've decided is we'll take it out of District 5's budget, so.
But I think what we should do as well is being that we do have a chairman of the finance committee, that what you can do is work alongside with the CFO, and then you as the chairman make what you believe that would be the
and then the
best.
shortfalling comes out of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to put it on a staff member. I mean, at the end of the day, it's our decision to make. And what I think is that if you present what those options are, and then, Mr. Chairman of the Finance Committee, you then inform us in terms of what is the best way to go, and then the commission will act accordingly. But I think that we just need to, look at what all of our options are. And I think that we also need to look at what federal support that we may get from this new administration, that maybe, whether it's CARES or whatever else that we have available, so that some of those particular funding sources, like you say, can be replenished, as opposed to us just depleting that particular fund and then don't have dollars to replace it. So I think that we just explore it all, and Mr. Chairman, hopefully you will bring that back to us in
We
short
are,
order.
and we're exploring all options, including, FEMA. We're still trying to measure our damages to hopefully hit the threshold, and that'll help too. But one of the important things on this is that we need this help now.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
we've identified several funding sources, and we'll specify that, but we need to get these people hired and out on the.
All right, so this will be on Thursday's agenda, right?
And procedurally, this is the first step you have to take so that HR can begin the hiring process. So
Right.
if the understanding that there's available funding would be what would be necessary for them to proceed with that. But this is the first part to get to ensure that the hiring process takes place so you can get the labor that you need.
That may
So
take a
this-
minute too.
Yeah. I'll move the 2 items.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Second?
A motion and a second, and I want to, as we do that, I want to appreciate and thank staff for working with the finance chair and myself yesterday to make sure that we got this on the agenda in a timely manner and working with us. Thank you very, very much.
Great job.
Thank you. And we have a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. I think that's the 2 items that we were adding to my agenda. The next will be finance. Joe, save the best for last.
All right, finance.
I'll move items 1 through 9.
Have a motion?
Second?
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, I have a little bit of a question on roads and transportation on some of these. I see where there's a Baldwin County Disaster Assistance Mutual Aid request, but I don't see a number, and then I see a number of 2,600, but.
You said roads and transportation?
I believe that's where they actually went down there
Mutual aid.
and did some traffic light repair. Am I correct?
Should be. Heather, are you on the call? It should be.
Yes, sir.
When they had the
That was
hurricane.
the assistance that we provided to Baldwin County when they needed, help from our traffic group.
Will this be covered by our FEMA reimbursement through Baldwin County?
Yeah, so we coordinated through the mutual assistance through, EMA, and that was, covered. So it's reimbursable.
Okay, I just saw that out there and like,
And thank God it's only $2,600, so it won't kill us.
well, I didn't know if that 2,600 was for that or for that next list of people on the agenda.
Stop it.
Anyway, all right, clear that up. Do I have a motion?
So
Move
moved.
the item.
Have a motion, second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Individual staff development,
A move?
Second?
have a motion, second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
I see where Mr. Grigsby has completed his
Clock
security.
operators course?
Glock operators. Maybe he can come in and do a demo. We need a volunteer to hold the apple on their head. Moving on, information only for the sheriff.
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second?
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, I have a couple of budget amendment, position and revenue changes. Let me just say this, that we are going to do our 6-month evaluation and probably try to do all the budget amendments and adjustments at either the next or the following commission after our 6 months is in. In that light, I want to roll over item 1 for the sheriff's department. We do have item number 2, the DA and the DA in Bessemer. The district attorney in Birmingham needed an additional investigator secondary to the COVID. And so we've gotten together with the DA in Bessemer. The DA is deleting a position and transferring that position basically to the DA in Birmingham. So it's revenue neutral. And so I would like a motion on that.
So moved.
Move the items.
Have a
1 and
motion.
2.
Have a 1.
We want to do 1 through 3?
1 I'm rolling over.
Okay, what do you have a question about?
Yes.
Okay,
just on the funding source, but we'll get into that.
okay.
All right, but this is on item 2. I have a motion and a second. Do I have, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Same situation. We had some, the youth detention had some positions that they were under some federal guidelines to comply with. They were going to be out of compliance if we didn't do anything. They had originally asked for 7 new positions, but our staff has gotten together and they are adding 3 juvenile detention officers to youth detention. And again, they're shifting around positions from A to B to C. And so, Mr. Tellis, Ms. Brown, our CFO, and Mr. Jackson got this all worked out with youth detention. So it's the addition of the positions, but it's budget neutral and no additional funding.
We did talk about this during the budget hearings, didn't we? About
We did.
Yeah.
About
I moved.
the federal.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Move the item, and you moved it, didn't you, Jimmy?
I did.
Have a motion?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. Board of Registrars, Barry, real quick.
Yes, good morning. Every 4 years, we have to mail out address verification cards, and we mail it out, and once we get proof that it was mailed out, the state will reimburse us, and it'll go back to the general fund. That's what that occurred in December. By passing this, we'll send the form on down to the Secretary of State, and then we'll get a check reimbursing us in 6 to 8 weeks.
Move the item.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Developmental Services. Michael.
Morning.
Z 2000-0039.
This is a request for a very large piece of property, 850 acres almost. And they're going from I-3 and I-3S to A1. The plan here is to subdivide a 120-acre portion off for one homestead, one residence. And that subdivision case is going to be held at the Planning and Zoning meeting after the County Commission meets the morning. So Planning and Zoning meet that afternoon. We have received several letters of concern or protest regarding this request, but I think there's been some miscommunication in the community.
Yeah, what's this thing about a trailer park?
And it's not. They want to subdivide one lot for one homestead.
Okay.
Again, every email that I got, I responded with that. I still keep getting bombarded with emails, so there may be some folks here in protest on Thursday. So, but again, I-3 and I-3S, I can permit you a steel plant out there legally tomorrow. And again, they want to rezone so they can subdivide off 120 acres for one homestead, and the rest will just remain wooded vacant, I guess, until somebody else or anything else can happen.
Okay. All right, good.
It's one home and one home only.
One home, and as far as I know, yes, sir. Now, A1 will allow for mobile homes in addition to residences, but they have to be occupied by immediate family, oil property owners themselves.
Okay. All right. So that home could be a mobile home.
The mobile home could be a mobile home, but again,
Yeah.
if you look at the map, everything around it that's green, that's residential, like permanent mobile homes out there, are left and right. Again, so long as they're occupied by the property owner, the property owner's meeting.
Okay. All right, Z 2000-0045.
I move it.
All right.
Second?
Do I have a motion on 1 and 2?
Yes.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Very good. No mobile home?
So, Mr. Mike,
Yes, ma'am.
so we just need to duly note that on Z 20-0039, that is individual, like it's only confined to one property. Is that what you said?
Yes, ma'am.
I want to hear that explanation one more time, so that if there is a confusion, I want to be able to
Yes.
properly quote it.
It's 850 acres.
Right.
approximately.
Okay.
They want to subdivide or carve out a 120-acre piece for one homestead property at this time. That's all that's in question right now. If they were to subdivide again in the future, of course, we'd have to go through the public hearing process again. But
All right, so
if we are
850
just gonna
acres,
property-
and you say they want to subdivide 120 acres for one homestead.
That's correct.
Okay, and so seemingly the confusion comes about because are people thinking that all 850 acres is what's being considered?
Again, I believe the confusion itself, and
Sure.
we get this a lot of times.
Sure.
Anytime you divide property, it's legally considered a subdivision. We have a subdivision case. Now, you go out on the street and you say the word subdivision, they think major lets and farms or these major sort of housing developments that are out there. But technically and legally, anytime you divide property, just like this one, you've got 850 acres, he's dividing it into a 120 acre tract, and the remainder will be another or separate tract. And so it's technically a subdivision. And so again, I think the confusion just comes with the legal term of that word.
Mm-hmm. Very good. I just wanted to know what was the dividing line, so that people come and whatever that we know how to properly say what we need to say.
Yes, yes, ma'am. And again, there's been some sort of miscommunication out there where there's some assumption or thought that there'll be a trailer park, and that's not anything that would be allowed in A1 zoning anyway.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Very
Good
well.
job as always.
Yeah, have a good one. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, this attorney, I have two items. Do I have a motion?
Move the items 1 and 2.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, EMA, we have a
Something new?
no, it's, and I'll get you a copy of it. It's basically, we have received and accepted a declaration of local emergency filed by the EMA Council, signed by, the Council President, Gary Richardson. So.
Can
I'll
you
get
say that again?
It is a declaration of a local emergency filed by the EMA Council
Right.
for the tornado in Fultondale.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
it's
I
just-
couldn't make out what you were saying.
Read my lips. Read my lips.
Yeah, right. Okay, sure.
Okay, so I'll get that to you. It's nothing for us to do,
Yeah,
right?
the rule says that the commission shall sign it, but the way the bylaws work, because of our EMA council in the event of a declaration, so you don't have to meet the president.
Yeah, because we're doing is declaring it a.
Yeah, the bylaw says you guys sign it. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, very good.
All right, general services,
Move the item.
have a motion.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is this a refund?
Yeah, 80,000.
All right, we like it.
I'm
All
sure
right,
you do.
human resources, I have two items. I got the living donor leave policy rule number 5.5.8. I would like to roll that over to the next committee because I have some questions that I'd like to kind of talk offline. Item number 1 is employment agreement, Deputy Director of Revenue, Mr. Everett Herron.
Okay, is that what you want to roll
No, item 2 is what we're rolling over. I'm on item 1.
over?
I'll move
Okay.
item 1.
Okay, I have
Okay.
a motion.
One second.
And a second, and on this human resources contract summary, I would like to apply for this position because it says the annual base salary is $121 million. So if we can make that pen and ink change, maybe.
It may help, but
That's right.
Says
Okay.
121,000.
121,000 base salary.
Uh-huh.
I think that's the actual number.
I moved it with
All
pen
right.
and ink.
All right, have a motion?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I'll move the
So let
agreement.
me ask this question, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
of this committee.
Yes.
Okay, so the item that you want to roll over, is there action, Mr. County Attorney, that we need to take, or we just say that, we're delaying the item to the next meeting?
Just roll over to your next meeting.
Okay, but we don't have to make that formal.
It's just committed, so if the committee.
Right.
Okay, very good. All right.
I have a community grant for.
Second.
Okay, this is for a senior citizen bus. I'm joining Representative Treadway and Senator Shelnut to purchase a senior citizen new bus. All right, a couple of other items of new business.
Gotta vote
But
on
you
it.
didn't pass it.
Pardon?
You
gotta
didn't
vote.
move it. It's been moved in second, but you didn't pass it.
Well then, all in favor? please say
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you for keeping me straight.
I did have one question though. I know the item is passed, but I like this. So when you say about this was to purchase a bus,
Senior citizen bus.
okay, and so whether they just it takes them to the doctor. What I mean, what does it
For the
do?
senior citizen, it delivers them and carries them food and takes them home and delivers them to the center, like those little buses that you see at the senior citizen centers.
Okay,
They're upgraded.
duly noted.
Upgraded.
Okay.
All right. Couple of other things. I got this in last night. It's a resolution to acknowledge that the Bessemer District Attorney is applying for a federal grant. This is the Second Chance Initiative. And basically what this does is they team up with a 501c3. They go into the schools and they work with the kids where parents are incarcerated.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a good thing, a good program. I asked, do we have to do anything? But I guess we do. If
you authorize it as a governing body, I think it has to have the county as a governing body to make the application on behalf of the DA's office.
So moved.
Hold the item. Second.
Okay, well,
No,
it's
new
a
business,
So
item of
hang
new
on
business.
just a second. I got a couple more, one more.
Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Did you say that, Jimmy, this is an item of new business?
It is.
Okay, so then we need to have it for unanimous
We
consideration.
do, but he has another
I
item.
got another item, and then we'll just do them both.
Okay, all right, yeah.
And basically, this is this is a request that came in from the Fultondale Command Center, and basically it is asking us to allow them to make application to the Department of Forestry or any other agency to come in and examine and enter the property at Black Creek, because that tornado has fallen a lot of trees right into Black Creek, and they're huge trees. So we got to figure out how we're going to get them out of there. But they're reaching out, the command center's reached out to us to authorize them to solicit this help from.
Is that an EMA process?
It is. It's partly EMA, but it's coming from the command center at Fort Dell.
I do have a question, Joe. I'm absolutely going to be in support of it. I do want to say as well, if we can make sure that we provide resources out there in Centerpoint as well. I know that Fultondale was hit harder than Centerpoint, but I would like for us to see how we can make sure that there's additional resources that's provided over there as well.
Well, we have been out there working very hard. Volunteers have shown up, got the debris to the streets, and we've made our first pass at picking up debris. I know there's some more. And then as we go into the rebuilding process, sure, we'll get them everything that we can.
Is this on Black Creek?
Yes.
Commissioner, this is Commissioner Tyson. We sent, I partnered with the sheriff that sent a couple of food trucks out. And we are also, I was going to talk to you about this today, Commissioner Knight. We're sending food supplies out to the students also along with computers, because there's a lot of computers damaged, was lost in the storm. So we're going to send that out to the Centerpoint area and to the Fultondale area. So they will be getting computers and food supplies.
So
I was there they had a food drive there
recently. And that's primarily the reason why I'm asking, because I think, and I want to say to all of the commissioners how much it means when we all come together regardless to the districts.
Sure.
And we go over. But I will tell you this, going on Sun Hill Road, I'll just say that one of the neighbors came out when this first happened, and one of the things that she was talking about is it just seems like, it wasn't a balance, in terms of resources. And so that's why I'm very elated about all of us coming together. I know that we had some food trucks and some other things that have gone in the area. Of course, you and I share that area, which is the reason why I wanted to say that. And I know that we've had a lot more heavier damage in Fultondale, obviously. But I just wanted us to make sure that as much as we can undergird both cities and to try to get them back to some sense of normalcy would be great.
And I've been in constant contact with
My
Mayor
Mayor,
Scott, and,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you know, we've done everything he's asked, and he's done a great job, and
Yeah,
you know, he's new too, so.
that's right.
The mayor in Fultondale's new, so.
Both of them
These
do.
guys are getting baptized by fire.
Yeah, exactly.
But actually, I had damage on the west side of I-65 coming into Fultondale.
Mhm.
It really hit Fultondale hard for about a half a mile wide and maybe 2 miles wide. And that's where it really did the most damage, even knocking out businesses and houses. I think the last I saw was 116 homes either totally or majorly damaged or destroyed. Then it went over and hit the high school, and that's going to be a loss.
That's right.
Then it skipped over and hit an area off Indian Valley Road where there was a lot of trees down. Luckily, there wasn't a whole lot of house damage, but the trees in that area were just everywhere. And our roads people were in there getting those roads. And ironically, one of the roads was called Fallen Wood Lane. So how ironic that was.
Coincidental is that?
And then it skipped over, and then it hit that Rush Trailer Park, that mobile home park on Highway 79. I don't think that thing got all the way on the ground, but the trees, it just in an area, you know, that vortex shrank from a half a mile to maybe about 50 yards wide as it started skipping. So you didn't have the wide swaths, but that thing was still skipping, and it really hit that mobile home park pretty hard. Skipped over and had some debris over on Wood Avenue and Center Point, and then we had 2 houses hit in Clay, and so that thing was just skipping along. A big old tree right across Old Springville Road that closed the road for a couple of days. They put out barricades, and of course, about 2:30 in the morning, some guy goes around the barricades and hits the tree. So, but anyway.
Well, I was going to say too, while we're on this subject, I mean, we can go ahead.
So Center Point hadn't been left out.
No. I wouldn't dare and give that kind of indictment, but here's what I am saying is that if we, especially being that I wanted to mention about the young man, 9th grader in your area as well, Joe, that his family was, where he was killed in the tornado. Saying if we can provide, you know, some sort of psychological help over there for those students and how we can help to undergird that community. But lastly, I did want to say this as it relates to both areas, how much I really appreciated that Metro Area Crime Center unit. My understanding, at least, you know, the majority of the commission had the opportunity to view it by way of helicopter. I think it probably gave me a better appreciation for what could be done with that one helicopter. I don't know what you all's conversation was, but they were telling me the different means that they can be able to use that helicopter, not only and when you're talking about major disasters, but you know, not only to even solve crime, but to be able to be a cargo carrier, for lack of better words, when you have communities in need. And so when they gave me that little educational piece, I'm hoping, Mr. Chairman, that we will come back with something as it relates to the Metro Area Crime Center unit and seeing how we can be able to support that even more so. I thought it was very informative. And in fact, they said that right before I came, they used the aircraft to be able to get this felon who had just had a domestic violence deal, and he was along the I don't want to call it river. I'm trying to think. It was a river, but anyway, the water alongside, and anyway, they were able to catch him by being up above, and they stopped what they were doing to be able to get that. And I said, wow, it gave me a better appreciation, I tell you that. And I think it's very helpful when you're trying to get an overview of a damaged area. You know, being able to look at it from above ground gives you a whole different insight. So when you talk about those trees and how they snapped and from the root and what that looks like, it gives you a better understanding, really, of what that is. So
you could actually see the path
the holes
as it went down the valley and then hit that ridge, and that's probably what jumped it up to make it start skipping. Thank God.
Yeah.
And they're also needing another piece of equipment for the helicopter that we're going to have to maybe look at down the road, that as they're, you know, they can see through the infrared and see down there, but this piece of equipment would allow them to see that person on the ground, to see what they're seeing in the air at the same time. So we'll take a look at that
I'll
down
move
the
for
road.
unanimous consent on your 2 items.
Have a motion for
Second.
unanimous again? Have a second. All in
I'll move the
favor,
2
say
items.
aye.
Aye.
No.
Move the item.
Aye.
Move the item.
Okay. Have a motion, second. Move the items.
Aye. Yeah.
All right.
I already said move the item.
Okay.
That it, Commissioner?
No, I have one more thing. On February the 25th, we have been asked by the school boards of the city of Trussville, Gardendale, and Midville to help them with an ad valorem tax. Basically, it's a continuation, but the technicality of it, it's a lateral move, but we're going from one constitutional amendment to the other. But what we have to do is have a public hearing. We are going to notice that for our commission meeting on February 25th. We'll have the public hearing. We pass a resolution, and then it goes to the legislature. The legislature does what they do, and then it goes to the vote of the people in those cities to approve or disapprove that.
Move the item.
Do what?
I was saying moved, or are we just
No, this is
taking this
just
in for
FYI.
informational purposes?
This
Is
was-
this just for informational purposes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I didn't know if we had to take
And
an
I'll be-
action in order for it to
No,
move
I'm
to the
just
next
letting you know
level.
we're gonna put it on the agenda for next, so y'all won't be surprised like, what's this? Cause I'm
I
like, what's
appreciate
it?
the
Y'all
courtesy.
raising taxes? No, this is help the school continue with tax.
President,
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to thank, Carolyn Brown and Tony Patel for working on the living donors lease policy. April is donor month, and I am just so excited about this. And just an opportunity to try to save lives. I just want to just thank them for working on this. We've been working on it for the last 6 months, and thank you so much, Commissioner, for supporting this.
we rolled that over to I'm not opposed to it. I had some questions. I just saw it, when it came out Thursday night, so I had some questions. We rolled it over, but we'll get the questions answered and go from there. But yeah, that seemed like a good program.
Anything from Mr. Mark?
I'll just add to the storm pickup. We picked up, I think, $400,000 worth of debris so far, with about another $1 million estimated for the county road part. And looking at Fultondale's probably another $3 million to $4 million in the city. And as Commissioner Knight said, the EMA had their petition in the state trying to see how much money we have spent. Hopefully we'll get designated and can get some reimbursement on that. And also FEMA's announced they will help with the vaccination costs for transportation assistance and that kind of thing, reimbursing UAB or the health department. So that funding is available if they need it as well.
Okay.
Mr. President?
Yeah.
I was gonna say too, if we can explore that those trees that are captured, if we can perhaps look at that as a revenue source, where we can be able to sell those trees to companies that deal with lumber and some other things. I don't know if we can't, then I mean it's not a stupid question. Just let me know if that's not feasible.
You
But
talking
if
about the debris?
No, I'm talking about there were some trees that I observed when we toured the area. That those trees were not. They were not. They like long lumber, something that you can be able to utilize for utility poles. You can repurpose those trees, and you have companies that just like that they take those trees off of land and they use them for various purposes. I was just thinking if that could be something that we can do to help assist those cities by taking the lumber and utilizing that lumber that is already, basically been taken from the ground for another purpose. Because they do have value. You don't just take them and shred them. You can take them and do some other things with them, and it can turn out to be profitable either for that city, or we can find a way through the county that will help us to support those cities.
We'll look into that, I think, too, where Commissioner Knight mentioned the forestry department going into the Black Creek area. That's where it's a lot of really good pines, and I'm sure they'll be exactly right.
I mean, am I saying something that is not,
No,
that's irregular?
No, but a lot of times in these kind of situations, they won't take them because they've got,
damage?
well, not the damage, it's just they're contaminated with the,
Pine
the
beetles
insulation and all the other stuff, and they put them in their chippers and it'll, but, I mean, it's a good idea, especially some of those big ones like.
I saw some really, really large ones.
You just can't go on nobody's property and get a tree.
That's
You
true.
gotta make sure it's legal before.
That's why we put this forward.
I do think it's a good idea, but we got to make sure.
Well, some of what I saw, Commissioner Tyson, they were not on property.
They're already out to the street.
Yeah. In other words,
But most of them were
right.
cut up.
And well, no, some of what I saw too, that you saw that they were just, it's just land.
Oh yeah, it looks like
and
toothpicks.
they just looked like they just came out of the ground and you saw the hole. But it wasn't residential property, Commissioner Tyson. So that's why I was saying that.
I toured the area and I seen all of it. Y'all see the food trucks in the trees?
So, no, I didn't see that, but what I'm saying is if Carol, if that could be something we can explore to be able to take, that and if they're in good shape and see how we repurpose it, if that's something that we can't legally do, then, then I'm fine with that too. But it just made me think about it because it looked like there were so many trees that were not snapped as well, but they were kind of whole, and I thought to myself, what could be done with it?
Even on Black Creek, as you're looking on the back of those houses, because if it stops up, then it's going to flood those houses, and then it's going to flood Carson Road in two places, so we got to get those out. But if you look across there, there's a bank, there's a kind of little hill that goes straight up, and the trees are down. I don't know who owns that, but that's going to be tough.
Okay.
And one of the victims that died, their funeral, I think is today.
Services today at 1 o'clock at Oakwood in Gardendale. I wish I could go.
I'm working with Rubio with that family for support.
Well, unfortunately, I have to attend another funeral, but otherwise I'd be there too. That little kid, bless his heart. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Mr. President.
No other business?
No, see you Thursday.
Sorry to be long-winded, but
That's all right.
We're adjourned.
one other stuff.
Hey, Carol.
Hey.
Good question for you. Hey, Airman.
Yeah, I need to run something. I need to hear
I'll see you just.
Me?
I got one more.